Going live. Am I live? I'm live. Okay. First of all, I forgot to sleep tonight because I got stuck in a really good book. So I'm operating at 10% efficiency right now. I'm going to go to bed after this stream, pretty much. But yeah, a few beers will, I guess, help me sleep even faster. I might fall asleep before actually hitting the bed with my body. Skål. That's good. And I keep forgetting which beer I put in the machine. It's a German light lager in a way. That's pretty much all I remember. Whatever, it's good. Let's have another sip. Right, who's with us? Magnus Dahlberg is going to FK Sport. He's buying something fun, I guess. Star 70 is complaining about the state messing with beer. Well, yeah, we have a monopoly. 917 Brother is talking about HB, hembränt, moonshine. You know that's illegal. Don't drink that shit. You'll turn blind. Viking 1 is working this weekend. I am not, so I'm drinking beer. There will be a competition this weekend at one of the shooting ranges I frequent, and I'll probably head there tomorrow whenever I wake up and help put up all the equipment for the competition. I'm not going to be range officer or compete at that competition, but I guess I'll go there to help out at least. Well, it's with us. Trarove Cox is with us. And he's finally with us from the start. Fall weather friend. Feeling lucky I don't have any mags to guns I don't own yet. No sir, I would never. And that's good, keep saying that. That's the official story. Anything else is a tragic boat accident. Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a short while. Rusty's with us, Pop Tramps about beer, Noble Carl, Normal Citizen is with us. The man, the myth, the legend, the reincarnated FUD in a young man's body. Mikael is with us, Nunasen, however you pronounce that. Skogen, Sik, Konrad, Alfred, Abinavshevla. I butchered that. Blood Eagle is with us as well. Plop, the greatest candy of them all. Ville Pille, Muttertool, Mikael Burman, Captain, etc. Okay, so let's just get right to it and talk about the bullshit handed to us by the moderate party. Boop. So let's start with this one. This came out last Friday, but I missed to talk about this one last stream, I believe. I might not have. Anyway, so this is Erik Lakoma. And he knows what he's talking about. He's a doctor and a researcher, scientist, I don't know. And he's basically telling in this article that if you're going to mess with, if you're going to make Sweden comply with the European Union Firearms Directive, we don't have to do much. We just have to do a tiny little amount to actually be compliant. That's not what happened. So let's continue on. This is Stenberg here then. He's one of the better politicians when it comes to gun laws. So he's saying here, yesterday the government, basically what happens, the way legislation works in Sweden is you basically have an investigation. Some asshole gets appointed to research basically how to implement the law that you want, and he gets a bunch of directives. So this is what we want to accomplish. Can you please research how we can accomplish this? This is what Parliament has decided should happen. Government uses their power to investigate how to make that happen. This was presented late last year, and it has some bullshit requirements of magazines. Everyone complained. The current government didn't give a shit, apparently. So what happens after that is they make a lagrådsremiss. They basically send a suggestion to a bunch of judges to have a look at it and see if it's anything obviously stupid. Doesn't really matter because it's happened before and will happen again. The government don't give a shit about lagrådet with a bunch of judges looking over the law. We don't have a Supreme Court or a constitutional court in Sweden. The politicians can pretty much do whatever they want. So yeah, that's another problem, not relevant right now. So they have a suggestion sent for oversight by judges now. And the step after that is a proposition for a law that Parliament will vote on, and the step after that is implementation of the law. And as it stands right now, this will be implemented on 1st of July 2023 this year, this summer. 1st of July, this will go into effect. So anyway, so the way it stands right now, if you have a license for a firearm in Sweden, you can have whatever magazine you want for that firearm. So basically one of the better, compared to many places in Europe, one of the better magazine restriction laws. So if you have a license for a firearm, even if it's for hunting, you can still buy like a 100-round magazine for it. And it isn't dependent on type of firearm. If it's a handgun, if it's a hunting rifle, if it's a lever action, a semi-auto, a full auto, doesn't matter. If you have a license for that firearm, you can have whatever magazine for it you want. So that sounds good, right? Well, it has some issues, because if you have a magazine for a firearm you don't have a license for, perhaps you are an airsofter who wants to have real steel magazines, perhaps you're part of the Home Guard and wants to own spare magazines, whatever it is, then you are a criminal on July 1st, which is bullshit. It's just a plastic box with a spring in it, and a plastic follower and a plastic magazine bottom. It's just usually plastic or stamped steel or whatever, and a spring. It's stupid to regulate. I've 3D printed shit like that. So yeah, it's a stupid law, and it could have been made much better. The way it should have been made was, if you have a semi-auto rifle and if you put in a magazine with 10 rounds and more, then the firearm will be a category A firearm. And that's the only regulation that had to be made. The rest of the magazine bullshit they implemented is totally unnecessary. So yeah. And they did some other stuff as well that I won't go into. It's marking with serial numbers and shit and stuff like that. They have exceptions for collectors. So that's good. So if you're a collector, you don't have to destroy your firearm. So I wrote to him, well, it could have been worse. It's sad that this complicated and illogical solution came into pass. Then I asked him, any news on when directives for the investigation for all the other changes we've been waiting for, like synnerliga skäl, which is basically banned in Sweden. If something in the law requires synnerliga skäl, it is basically banned. And that's applicable for machine guns and handguns. So they are pretty much banned in Sweden. You're not supposed to be able to own them, but I do. But the police uses this formulation in the law to deny licensing for these things. So Parliament has decided to remove that wording and call it special reasons instead, which is a little bit higher bar than for regular rifles or semi-auto rifles. The only real requirements to own a semi-auto rifle in Sweden is hunting exam or and that has some restrictions on what kind of semi-autos. But for like an AK or an AR, you have to be part of a shooting club that has uses these firearms in their shooting, and you have to be part of that for 6 months. IPSC Federation has a bunch of bullshit stuff as well, but yeah, that's the only thing the law requires. So anyway, he answered me that he's hoping this investigation will come to pass really soon. And when that comes, hopefully before the summer, that's going to be very interesting to read, because that's going to have shit like you can own more firearms, the 5-year requirement for renewal of licensing will be gone, taking away handling of licensing from the police, and a bunch of really good stuff. So I'm holding out hope for that to redeem them. But I'm not going to hold my breath, because politicians, right? So there's a link. I think I put the link in the description, but I'm going to put it in chat as well, so you guys can read this for yourselves. So yeah. You can read it in plain text here, exactly everything. I'm not going to go through it because I'm tired. So let's talk about this from one thing to the next. Well, let's not talk about that yet. Let's talk about this first. So some hopefully good news regarding the lead ban in Sweden. So the first part of the lead ban is that you can't basically hunt with lead shot. You can't basically use lead shot in shotguns anymore. So apparently our little ministers here is gonna listen to us hunters and gun owners and make it less retarded. So it's not basically banned, So we'll see what the net result is. But I think what they're trying to do, if I understand them correctly, is redefine what wet grounds are. Because according to EU, everything that has any H2O, any water on it at all, you're not allowed to be within 100 meters of it with a lead shot shell. And that would basically ban it from Sweden. So they're going to redefine that in some way that's logical. So let's hope they do that. We'll see what they do. But that would be a good thing. So yeah, let's continue to this bullshit. So this is a long story. I don't have the full story of this. I don't know this person. I've never talked to him. I've never interacted with this guy. But I have friends who know about him. So I heard about this when it happened. So they have been investigating this guy for a long while now. And some information about this has come out. And apparently this asshole, it's a gun dealer that was nabbed by the police. This asshole apparently sold... So when you get a firearms license in Sweden for sport shooting, the club has to basically authenticate the need for the firearm to the Swedish police. And there's a bunch of hoops you have to jump through to do that, and a lot of responsibilities on the shooting club to actually make sure everything is authenticated. But this guy just pissed all over all legal gun owners in Sweden. He falsified a bunch of paperwork. He lied, and it took a lot of money, like 3,000 euros, and he would help you get a legal Glock, for example. And that shit is criminal. That is very criminal. So there's a bunch of people now. So to be fair, he didn't do this with criminals. No criminals got firearms through this guy, as far as I can tell. But it's still a criminal act to do it this way. And he had his day in court, and afterwards, the secret police, Säpo, arrested him. And now it gets really interesting because he's now accused of a crime called olaglig kårverksamhet. Basically, they accuse him of creating an armed militia to attack the government of Sweden, which is bullshit. So this article really don't have that much information, but this one is a little bit more fun. It's made by Boris in Morgonposten, and he's been talking apparently to people around this guy, this person who is some kind of... I know I am a gun nut, but this guy thinks he's Rambo or something. He's ridiculous. It's like a mall ninja, if you guys know what that is, like those Americans with Tapco furniture on their shit. He gives me the impression of one of those guys. He's a little bit ridiculous, and yeah. And the police, when they did their seizure of his property, it was basically like one box of ammunition there, one box of ammunition there. It's like 400 rounds, and that is rookie numbers. That is nothing. And he only took 2 people for this new crime, and 2 people with 400 rounds of shitty ammunition in different boxes. It's ridiculous. And they said he had an illegal firearm, and that is supposedly the illegal firearm. That is some kind of flare gun. I think it looks like something you nail to a tree and put a string to it, and if you, like a signal flare inside of it, and if you break the string, it pulls the pin out and it sends a flare up in the air. But apparently, if you really want to, you can get a caliber 12 shotgun shell in there as well. And that's just going to blow up that device. It's like Chinesium pot metal or something it's made out of. and it doesn't have a barrel. If you have a shot shell in that and actually aim it towards someone, it's not going to hurt anyway. It cannot get enough pressure to the shot shell to actually do any harm. At worst, it would be like being hit with like a pellet gun or something. Might break skin if you're unlucky. And now they accuse him of having a legal shotgun. That's what they're saying. So I don't know. it feels like they're grasping for shit to get on him. He's obviously done illegal shit. He's probably gonna get some. I don't know how serious the crime will be. It's called osant intygande at least, and the people who got firearms from him at least made firearms crimes. So we'll see what happens with this shit, but he's a silly person who did stupid fucking shit, and and pissed all over all the legal gun owners who do things by the book in Sweden. So fuck him for that. We don't need people like this in the shooting sports or in the community at all. There, I got that said. Kind of hard to argue that gun owners are the most law-abiding people when idiots like this exist, right? So let's continue to something else. I had to take this up after that because the secret police arrested him for trying to basically attack the state. And then we have Gudrun Schyman, this old bag of rocks, and she's basically saying that she's going to start a violent revolution unless she gets her way in the politics. Okay, that is okay to do by a fairly famous political person in Sweden. She's since the 1990s, she's just gone down, becoming more and more crazy and unhinged. But still, that asshole can say shit like that, and they look at this guy, this clown. I feel like Sapo should at least take her in for questioning. Let's continue on with random news. So this is just some letter to the editor from some asshole that's really tired of all the pew-pewing at a legal shooting range. Why did you move next to a shooting range that's been there for 100+ years? Of course it's cheaper to live next to a shooting range, but that doesn't give you the right to start nagging about gunshots when you move into next to a shooting range. Fuck those guys. And the Norwegians apparently banned the semi-autos. That's fucked up. That's incidentally the same rifle my father has in, 9.3 by 62. I haven't really read up about what's actually banned in Norway, but I don't know why they're overreacting in this way. But I'm sad for you Norwegians. And this happened apparently. Some party in Nyköping, a town in Sweden. And some... I don't know how old they are, does it say? No. I'm guessing teenagers at least. And they had a party at someone's house, and then... the gun went off in this part of the other guy when they were just pretend fighting. You don't pretend fight with a loaded handgun. That's stupid. That's Darwinism. That's... I don't know what it is. It's stupid at least. So, the police can do this as well. So what happened was the police officer was practicing drawing his gun in front of the mirror, I guess playing Dirty Harry or something with his cig. And that very intelligent police officer managed to shoot the mirror. At least he didn't shoot his friend in the head, but I'm just waiting for that to happen. The police seems to have negligent discharges all the time. And I'm not allowed to carry a gun. These clowns are allowed to carry a gun. It's not fair. It's stupid. So if I had some kind of education on the right to defend myself, if I had to do the same test as the police, which is super easy by the way, then I should be able to carry a gun. Why not? I'm a law-abiding citizen. And I'm not gonna do that because I'm not an idiot. And this one's fun as well. So this is something that happens like every other month. Police officer forgot his service firearm on the toilet, and he's punished with less salary. If I brought in one of my handguns to a toilet somewhere and forgot about it, I wouldn't get less pay. Something else would happen. Something very terrible for me would happen. First of all, they would take all my firearms, and I would, at the very least, get a very stiff fine. And yeah, so for 5 days, he's losing 25% salary for 5 days. Yeah, it's literally one law for them and another law for us. The law regulating this is not the same as the law regulating my firearms. So yeah, just getting that out there. Okay, so that's all I had, all the news I had. Let's see what chat is saying. Tom Anders is with us as well, and he's gonna buy new shit. I know it. Tom is gonna be the live stream mascot, telling us all about all the new shit he's gonna buy. Viking 1 says 400 rounds. I bought 2,000 yesterday. Yeah, 400 is rookie numbers. I don't know why he only had 400 rounds. He should be ashamed of himself for only owning 400 rounds. It's sad. Even if the only thing you own is a shotgun, like an over-under, you should at least have a couple of thousand rounds for it. XRYYFN wants tips on becoming a better shooter. So depends on what kind of firearm you have, but generally just keep shooting. So there's several different things going into shooting well. So for shooting pistols, it's stance, how you're standing, but it's also how you breathe, how you hold the gun, how you activate the muscles to be able to relax and still shoot and not start moving your hand around. And it's mostly trigger control, and that will translate over to shooting rifles, but shooting rifles depends on your stance as well. Are you kneeling? Are you standing up? What kind of support you have? Do you have a sling? Are you laying prone? Are you using a bipod, a rear bag, a bunch of shit? And how to use all of these things effectively. All of this is stuff you're going to have to practice. And then, of course, if you're shooting long range, there's all the external ballistics you need to know. So yeah, there's a lot of things to practice at, but since I don't know exactly what you're talking about, I'm just going to be general like that. So a lot of people in chat are reminding me about Gudrun Schyman, which was the lady who threatened violence. She's an alcoholic as well, and she got a little bit famous for, I think it was at a cinema, and she had a little bit too much of the red wine, I guess, so she took a piss on the floor. Yeah, if I ever meet her, I'm gonna remind her of that. Yeah, she's an old communist, part of the Communist Party while it still was called the Communist Party. After the wall fell, the Communist Party in Sweden removed the communist part of the name. It's used to be called the Left Party Communists. It's a straight translation. Vänsterpartiet Kommunisterna. It's only Vänsterpartiet now, or the Left Party. So Jan Hansen is saying, in Norway, if there is anything covering the barrel and if it takes more than 10 rounds, it is banned. My HK770 is still okay for now. Shit. That's some stupid fucking rules. And yeah, hopefully all the fashion rules for hunting rifles are going to be removed later this year in Sweden. So I don't know if they actually published my article I wrote about that. Let me see. Not sure when they will Let me see if they published it yet. I sent it in yesterday. No, they haven't published it yet. So later this weekend, I guess, at least, they'll publish an article about hunting firearms and the AR-15 stuff and all that. Tom is saying he's getting his Heinel CR308 back. He's missing it. It's a nice rifle. It's a nice rifle. I have that one in 6.5 Creedmoor, and it shoots excellently for me. And it's getting a Tikka T4X Super Varmint in 308 as well. Yeah. Yeah, I had a long discussion today with my colleagues. Two of them from Turkey. We fled from Turkey because Erdogan is an asshole, and they're really nice guys. And they have a bunch of friends from Turkmenistan, and I didn't know that much about Turkmenistan. I knew the dictator there is really, really crazy narcissist asshole, but they basically told me that Turkmenistan is North Korea on crack. And they're correct. It's like North Korea with all the oil in the world. It's like, what would Kim Jong-il do if he had all the gold, all the money in the world? And then you get Turkmenistan. And it's ridiculous. That dictator, there's videos of him doing the world's worst DJ rap battles. He's shooting like, trying to be cool with a ridiculous camo uniform and big ass sunglasses with the Kim Il-jung haircut. Shooting 22 long rifle pistols, pretending to be super cool, throwing knives at targets from like 2 meters distance, and it's like a mix between Putin and Kim Jong-il on crack in steroids or something, and he looks like and he has this hideous dad body as well. It's ridiculous, but he made a golden statue of his dog. He's such a narcissist. It's the most narcissist thing in the world ever. It's crazy. So I had that discussion. But Turkmenistan is exporting oil and gas through to Europe. So he gets away with it. No one discusses this shit. Same with Azerbaijan, because they send it to Azerbaijan, then to Georgia, and then to Turkey, and then to the Mediterranean, and there we pick it up and send it to Germany, for example. So Armenia can commit or Azerbaijan can commit a genocide against Armenia. Turkmenistan can be like a North Korea in our neighborhood at least, and they get away with it because we need our gas, because Germany is fucked. Kalle wants to know when people will get that we're in World War III. Yeah, hopefully soon. It's gonna kick up very soon. At least my unqualified killgissning guess is China will do some hilarious shit at least within 2 years, and then things will get started, and not just sending balloons over America. Normal citizen, can someone give me some clarification on the magazine stupidities? 10 round and low? No. You can have whatever size magazine for your firearm if you have a license for it. But if you're hunting, you can only have a 2 or 5 round magazine depending on what wildlife what game you're hunting. But basically you can own whatever you want for the rifle you have a license for. Yep. But if you put in a 30 round magazine in your AR-15, it's technically a Class A firearm, according to European Union law. And yeah, there is no further regulations on using a Class A firearm. Firearms with short barrels are also Class A firearms immediately. Overall length and barrel length will make it Class A. So we'll see if the police uses that to mess with us, to make it so we can't get a license for it. But there is no new law on actually owning a Class A firearm, as far as I can tell. We'll see what happens. What happens to people who has a big ass collection of magazines? Yeah, if you don't have a license for a firearm for that magazine, then yeah, you should lose them in a boating accident. Because yeah, you'll be a criminal after July 1st. It's stupid. There's gonna be zero compensation for that. Out of beer. You guys in chat talk amongst yourself about whatever, and I'll come and read it after a short while I fetch more beer and answer all life's questions. I have beer. Almost fell asleep while filling my Stein. What are you guys saying? Did I miss something? Short barrels are useful mostly for military purposes. No, they're not. If you're a short person, if you're a person who just want to LARP, they're pretty cool. An MP5 doesn't really need a longer barrel, 9mm. I mean, a handgun doesn't have a long barrel. It's still functioning for a 9mm or whatever. So you don't really need a 16-inch barrel on a handgun caliber. You get away with shorter. But it depends on the caliber and the usage scenario. If you're only going to shoot like 100 meters, well, you don't really need a longer barrel. It's going to be more accurate with a short barrel. Foul Weather Friend says a semi-rifle with an 11-round magazine is as dangerous as a nuclear weapon according to the European Union. Not as dangerous as a nuclear weapon. As dangerous as a surface-to-air missile and comparable weapons. Yeah, it's that stupid. So yeah, if it isn't obvious, just gonna say it to have it out there. They're trying to disarm you. They don't want to have anything that they can perceive as threatening the little elite at the top getting richer of our taxpayer money. Popman 2030. Can you not legally have a 100-round magazine in Sweden? Of course you can. Padronen missed live today as well. Well, I just filled up my beer, so I have this much beer left of the stream. Okay, don't cry. Tom says you should do a funny video with the straight to jail guy. Who's the straight to jail guy? I'm gonna have to Google that shit. Straight to jail guy. Is he a YouTuber? I don't know. I don't know what that is. Tag556 asks when we come to America, LOL. So I spoke with Mark Serbo about that just the other day, and I'll see if I can. It kind of depends. I want to go to Sandy. What's it called? One of those machine gun shoots, and he knew of a good one later this year in like October or something. And Tom, you can't paste links in chat for some reason, so send it to me on Signal instead. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I might be going to the US later this year. We'll see if we can make that happen. So I've saved some vacation days for it at least. So that would be the first time I travel to the US. Just looking wants to know, is it legal in Sweden to purchase thermal optics if you don't have a license for a firearm? Yes, it is. And do I have to report it? No, you don't have to report anything like that. It's just like an action cam or whatever. the only regulations on thermals is when you can use it for hunting. And one of the things the government agency that regulates this has done now is allowed thermal optics for hunting more wildlife. For example, deer at the night. So we can use it for hog hunting right now. I never used it for hunting and I probably never will. But if I remember correctly, it's used for hog hunting right now, thermal optics in Sweden. But if you just want a thermal, you can just buy it. I did. I just bought one just for fun. Path trampled by deer says invention of beer is the root for the genesis of civilization. Civilization led to firearms. We can thank beer for guns. Cheers. And coffee is the reason we have liberty. So when coffee came to Europe after a long while, we had coffee shops. And coffee gave people a reason to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee and talk to each other. And people talked, and they talked about politics, which led to stuff like the French Revolution and shit, which led to stuff like the American Revolution, which led to the Bill of Rights. That's a very interesting piece of history. Yeah, coffee led to liberty. So think about that the next time I have a cup of coffee. So what's new in Sweden regarding rules and politics? Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a magazine restriction. You actually have to own a firearm to own a magazine in Sweden. That's basically it. No restrictions other than that. So if you have a firearm, you can own whatever magazine for it. But if you don't own a firearm, you can't have a magazine. Blah, blah, blah. Which will make it a bit harder to just buy magazines. You're gonna have to show your license to buy a magazine and shit. It's ridiculous. So anyone who wants magazines, now is the time to buy it. But we had a bunch of magazine scares in Sweden during the last 10 years or something, where the socialists tried to ban firearms, to actually ban anything about 10 rounds for an AR or whatever. So I have literally boxes of magazines. Charles Carlin says Big Sandy is the shoot. Yeah, that's the name. I thought I remembered something other with Sandy and shoot, but yeah. It's the funny clip with straight to jail. Okay, I got the link. Let's.
Now imagine you're holding coffee. This is outrageous.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah, that's a funny one, Tom. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Yeah. Might make a little meme out of it. Normal question. Any clarification on the rifle longer than X or with a barrel longer than 30 centimeter if it was a new definition of a handgun? In what context? For category A firearms or for hunting or what? Jan Eriksson says Ruger AR-15 556 18-inch for hunting when the police follows the rules from the Naturvårdsverket. Yeah, there's a bunch of 18-inch AR-15s for sale. So my Steyr AUG has a 20-inch barrel, but it's as long as like an SBR AR-15. So get a bullpup if you want a really handy rifle for hunting. That would be really good for hunting. Usually the triggers are not that fun though, but yeah. Fat and Bald says Aero Precision M5 308 will be my go-to moose rifle. Whoop whoop. Yeah, if it's possible to get an AR-10 for hunting moose, I will buy a 308 AR-10 for hunting moose, obviously. Just because I can. So don't buy a 22 long rifle AR. Most of those are shit. If you're gonna buy one, the JP, I think JP has one that's fairly good. Let's see here, JP 22 long rifle AR-15. So what's the barrel length on the JP one? So Yeah, it's actually 18 inches. Have a look at this. So the JP one, that's probably going to be the best AR-15 in 22 long rifle. So it's 18 inches. And yeah, if I wanted to buy a 22 long rifle AR that I wanted to be super reliable, super fun to shoot, super accurate, that actually is usable, I would buy this one. Because it's very hard to make a semi-auto 22 long rifle firearm that isn't complete shit with magazines and feeding and whatnot. Rimmed cartridges like 22 long rifle is super hard to get to feed properly. And yeah, this is probably as accurate as a bolt action rifle. That would probably be the most fun 22 long rifle semi-auto. But then again, that's going to be super expensive. Just buy a Ruger 1022. Just buy the Ruger 1022. Unless you really hate money and your name is Tom. Patrick says Swedish army would be very angry about magazine loss. Every day someone loses a magazine in the forest. Now they would need to stop exercises and call the police. Yeah, that's gonna suck. Yeah, because it's gonna be counted as a weapons part. It's probably gonna be counted the same way as suppressors, if I remember correctly. So you don't have to lock it into a gun safe. You will have to treat magazines the same way as ammunition, so behind a safe lock, whatever that means. So yeah. Skogan says, any thoughts on Seymour Hersh Substack post? I haven't read anything about that. So apparently the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipelines from Russia to Germany, and the Sweden knew about it, and Ukraine wanted it to happen. Of course Ukraine wanted it to happen. Of course they want to hurt Russia so they don't get any money to continue their stupid war. So that Ukraine wants that to happen is blatantly obvious. Anything that hurts Russia they want to happen, of course. It's probably true. It's the logical thing to do in that situation. So yeah, I don't question it at all. I just don't give a shit. Popman was if I was RU 1978. Yes, I was born in 78. That's true. Turning 45 this year. Is the Ruger 1022 as reliable as you often hear? I'm thinking about getting something in 22 long rifle that just keeps going. So yeah, it's very reliable for being a semi-auto 22 long rifle. And use the BX25 magazines. Some people have issues sometimes. I have never had an issue with my 1022, and I have the takedown version of mine. It just keeps trucking. It just works. And there's such an aftermarket for the 1022. You can just get that perfect crisp trigger on it and all that good stuff. So yeah, the 1022 is super nice. Not that expensive. Buy a used one if you're a poor person or something. So you can get it super accurate as well. Buy a bull barrel for it or whatnot. So yeah. Popman was born in 1994. What did I do in 1994? I remember I went to see... What's the name of that band? Black Flag? I saw Black Flag. Or no, this... Henry Rollins. He had his side project back then. The Wait album just came out, so I went to see him doing songs from that album, like Liar and all those good... So I went to that concert in 1994 when you were born. Yeah, I did that in 1994. I remember it. But anyway, Ruger 1022 is about as fun as you can have with your pants on. Fall Weather Friend says the 1022 is as reliable as the ammunition you feed it. That is true. Never use Remington Thunderbolt. Never buy that ammunition. Fuck that ammunition. Use Top Shot. Use CCI Standard. Use any standard velocity round. They'll feed fine. That has always worked for me. Just buy CCI Standard. If in doubt, buy CCI Standard. That shit works. Sweden says, I cannot see that you can have magazines above 10 rounds if you have a PC carbine on a hunting license. Okay, I have to look into that. I haven't read everything yet, but you are allowed to do sport shooting with hunting firearms, and there is precedent in court that you can do whatever with your firearm that's not allowed for hunting, like having a folding stock, a telescoping stock, or all that good stuff. You can have that on your firearm today on the shooting range, but not while hunting. Is precedent in court for that already in Sweden. So, I don't know. I have to read through it. It just dropped today, so I don't really know. But I'll have a look at that. But as far as I know, as far as Sten Bergheden basically told me, who's one of the guys responsible for this shit show, if you have a license for a firearm, you can have whatever magazine for it. So, but you're not allowed to hunt with your PC carbine with even a 10 round magazine. You gotta have a 5 round magazine to hunt with a PC carbine. SK rifle match. Yeah, I use SK long range when I do my bolt action in my 200 STR, my Sauer 200 STR. I use SK long range. SK is really good ammunition. Super. So with CCI Standard, there's always like, if you're shooting a bunch with it, it's always like one shot goes wild, and that's probably quality control. But with SK, they have better quality control. It's more expensive, a little bit, but it's super good. I just, at 50 meters, I just make one big ragged hole shooting my 200 STR in 22 long rifle. Swedes saw Slayer in Stockholm in '94. First show ever. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, Strada 70 has a Bergara. Bergara makes a really nice 22 long rifle. So it has the Remington 700 pattern on the receiver and everything. So you can, I think you can buy the Bergara with just the action, barrel, and bolt, and then you can put it in a chassis system, same as the chassis system you have on your long range rifle or whatever, if you have a Tikka or something. And then you have the perfect practice platform, and the Bergara is really nice. If I bought a dedicated 22 long rifle bolt action, I would probably buy the Bergara 22 long rifle. Either that or the CZ 450, whatever the CZ is called, 400 something, I think it is, or 500, whatever it is in 22 long rifle. That shit is super awesome, super accurate. But it's not compatible with all the fancy chassis systems. But yeah, the way I have it now, I think is better because it's so easy to swap calibers on the Sauer 200 STR. So I have 308 for it, I have 6.5 by 55, and I have 22 long rifle. It's the same trigger, same magazine system, everything is the same. And it's just nice. CZ 457. Thank you, Canon, who's OC. Mangan VBG90 says 30k is like entry-level AR-10 anyway. So 30k, or just above 30k, that's what you pay for a Heinel 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor. And those rifles are really good. It's like an unfucked version of the Heckler & Koch DMRs. And it's much less expensive than the HK. functions better and all the good stuff. So I can really recommend the Heinel rifles. Yeah, I'm gonna visit Heinel when I go to IWA, hopefully, and talk to them. We'll see. Okay, Canon says CZ457 is compatible with most of the MDT stuff like the ACC. It is? I didn't know this. That's good news. That's good news. The CZ457, if it's the same 22 long rifle I'm thinking about, that's super good rifle. That's really nice. So Strado 70 actually hates money more than Tom. He has his Bergara 22 long rifle and an XLR Element 4.0 magnesium chassis. God damn it. And carbon fiber grips and stock. Shite. That's... yeah, you hate money. You hate money. But that's gonna be a really fancy and fun rifle to shoot. Yeah, I can just imagine how fun that shit is gonna be to shoot. It's so much fun. I don't know what's more fun, to just mag dump a BX25 mag into dirt or actually hitting shit with like a really nice bolt action 22 long rifle at 200 meters or 220 or whatever yards it is. That's so much fun. It's so good practice to do your wind holds and everything and hit like a steel target like this at 200 meters with a 22. That's like shooting a 6.5 at like 800 meters or 900 meters or something. Comparatively in level of difficulty to read the wind and all that shit. Mangan VB90 wants direct impingement as Eugene Stoner intended it to be. Well, there's not that many AR-10s that's direct impingement. Direct impingement is nice. I think it's a better recoil experience compared to a piston. It's a bit lighter as well, less metal. Yeah, I have to say I like direct impingement just to use the firearm. I like direct impingement more than piston-based firearms. It's just a nicer shooting experience. But pistons are they just always work. To be fair, I've never had an issue. When I got the gas system settled with the current configuration on my AR-15, I never had an issue with the direct impingement system. It's always just worked. Then again, I'm not in Ukraine in a trench or something. I'm just a sports shooter shooting paper and steel. So I don't really have the need for like a bulletproof system. So the direct impingement system has worked for the US military for ages, so it just works as well. But yeah, the thing that will mess with you on a competition, which is applicable to this channel, is if you mess with your rifle too much. If you put in this super fancy trigger and the lightened bolt and just tune it to within an inch of it actually working, then you're in trouble, because the tiniest piece of debris in the mechanism will mess you up. It just won't work. I've seen this happen on competitions where someone got just a tiny speck of dirt, like whatever, a piece of gunpowder or whatever, into the trigger mechanism, and the rifle just failed and you had to DQ, and yeah. Charles wants to know, ever noticed any accuracy issues on the 2022 from the nose of the round deforming when it comes out of the magazine? No. The lead tip of the 22 long rifle bullet, if you shoot lead tips, might deform. For example, if you extract a round from the chamber or something like that, it shouldn't deform just by feeding from the magazine. If it does that, something is wrong. Something is wrong with something. You need to polish something or whatever. It shouldn't deform. It shouldn't have anything happening to the lead. It's super soft lead, so if something impacts the lead, it will mess up your accuracy. That is true. But I've never had that issue with my 1022. Viking 1 is sticking to his Sig Sauer 716 version 1. Yeah, I used to own one of that, but I had so much issues with it. I'm very happy, Viking, that you do not have the issues I had with my Sig Sauer 716. Yeah. I sold it after I fixed it, and I hope it went to some happy owner. And after that I bought my Heinel, which has worked perfectly from day one. So, yeah. There is that. Almost out of beer, people. So, any last questions? Put them in chat while I sip the last piece of beer here. And I'm all out of beer. Why my stupid t-shirt? I should make a new design for my t-shirts, by the way. Something pissing all over politicians, I guess, for fucking with us gun owners. I have to give it some thought. Yeah. What's a good zero for 10-22? 50 meters, I guess. Same for all 22 long rifles. That's what I do on my 22s. So anything you hunt will be 50 meters or shorter. And they're so sensitive to wind, so 100 meters would be stupid. So 50 meters, and then get a good table, check it against 100 meters, 200 meters, or whatever you can, and then you're set. Butcherbird says, maybe I should get a Luvo AR in 6.5 by 55. No, Luvo is bullshit. They are horrible. It's a horrible brand. Never buy a Luvo. Fuck Luvo. Source, I own one. That's never worked. I should really just scrap that rifle. David T wants to know, what's my bench press? So right now I changed my training regiment. I don't know what I would bench press right now. My personal best is something like 150 or something, but that was a while ago now, so you shouldn't really brag about old PBs. I would never be able to bench that right now. So I guess, if I'm just gonna guess, I would... So what I do now is I'm going for hypertrophy, so just big muscles, but that's also functional muscles. Being able to do 1 rep max is like good if you're a powerlifter, but that will give you a heightened chance of injury and shit like that. So I just dropped nice 1 rep PBs, 1 rep maxes, and just going for hypertrophy, which means like 15 reps until failure, something like that. So what I'm doing right now, I think the last time I did like 100 kilos for 15 reps or something like that. The last time I bench pressed, so but I do a lot of different exercises to target all the muscle fibers all over the pec muscles. So I do flies, I do a bunch of different shit, and then I do triceps at the same time, in different ways, like cable, rope pulls, shit like that. Can't really show you while sitting, but whatever. So yeah, I'm not that impressive when it comes to bench presses right now, because I go for max repetitions and just fatiguing my muscles and high intensity training and stuff like that. Can you win against the military in court? A friend of mine did. Swede says, I bought a Glock 48, I got bad slide bites, so I had to put a Hogue rubber sleeve on it. I like the grip and the gun as it was, but I had no choice. Well, that's too bad. Path trampled by deer. That t-shirt would probably be against the terms of service somewhere. Do a video on your Luvo. Oh, shit. I have to go drink something really soon, so Yeah, I might do a video on my Luvo. I haven't shot it in years. Oh god damn it, now tears are coming. I got some stomach acid up. I have a stomach ulcer and it suddenly decided to appear out of fucking nowhere. So I'm gonna need my pills for this shit. Eating this right now. This for neutralizing the acid. Oh, shit. Canon OC says, I zero at 100 meter, am I stupid? Depends on the caliber. If it's 22 long rifle, it's probably not a good idea. But for any other, it's probably a good idea. House tour when? It's not a large house. You're pretty much seeing the most of it right now. But I could talk for an hour about it, so I don't know, perhaps. But it's totally not the typical content of my channel. So. And I would have to clean up a bit before I did that. I don't know, perhaps sometime. In before getting a strike for popping pills on stream. Well, it's just stomach ulcer pills and shit. Explosive muscles and good condition is what I'm going for. That's what I do right now as well. So I do a very fast. So for bench press, I do. So bench press is interesting. To do it correctly, you have to. Most people just ego lifts. They can't do an exercise properly if it would save their lives. It's ridiculous to watch people at the gym. So the closer you hold your hands on the bar when you're doing deadlifts, the more triceps you're using. So I hold it pretty wide for that reason. So I have it almost 90 degrees on my arms like this. But you want to start over here and go slightly forward when you put it up. And I don't believe you should arch your back that much as the powerlifters do. That's just to get a shorter range of motion to basically sheet. But you have to have both of your feet in the ground and have the ass on the bench, and about here on your neck is where you put a bunch of pressure, and then you push it up, and it should touch your chest before you put it up again. So fast up, slow down. Fast up, slow down. And it's the same with basically every exercise. You have to research how to actually do the exercise correctly. I saw some guy doing biceps, I think. He was supposed to do biceps, but he did them like this. Basically just throwing them up there. It's ridiculous. And when I do biceps, I do like preacher curls. So I have a bench at this angle, and then I go slowly down and extend my arm all the way, and then I go up to about here, because if I go further up, I can just relax the muscles. So I want to have tension all over the movement. So I go up here and then down again. And then you can't really lift that much if you're actually engaging the bicep. Normal citizen wants to know, would a TCA in core with 45 centimeter barrel be okay to have on a hunting license? And change the stock to a pistol grip? No. No, it would not be okay. You can't have just a pistol grip. That's haram. Right, I have to drink water now. My throat is killing me. So you guys have a good weekend, and yeah. I'm going to that competition tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm gonna make some video of that, but I have videos scheduled for this weekend, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. So whatever. Have a nice weekend. I'm gonna drink water, then fall asleep. See you guys.